Hey, everybody, I'm going to go ahead today and read out of Red Kayak. I'm going to be reading chapter 25. The last thing that we were reading in Red Kayak was that Brady went to an attorney and they eventually went to the police. And he also knew that when he left the police station that night, that the police were going to go to JT's house and Digger's house, and also that the world would know, including the D'Angelos. So we're going to see what happens in today's chapter 25. JT and Digger had their initial appearance in juvenile court 2 days later. I didn't have to go, but I wanted to be there. Mom had to work because she had just taken 2 days off, so it was just me and my dad and Mr. Anderson who explained what was happening. I knew that wasn't required of him, and I was glad Carl had recommended him. We sat in the back of the courtroom before the others arrived, and when Digger and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Griswold, came in, Mr. Anderson leaned over and asked, "Is that Michael?" "Michael?" I looked at him blankly. Dad said yes for me. As I soon found out, no one in juvenile court would refer to Digger as Digger, nor even very often by his first name, Michael. Mostly he was Mr. Griswold, just as JT was Mr. Tyler. Oddly, I found this small slice of protocol comforting. It was as if a strange and alien part of each of my friends had been involved in sabotaging the kayak. None of the Griswolds looked back as they took their seats. I'm not sure that they even knew we were there. But when JT came in with his mother, he glanced our way and did a double take. Our eyes met briefly. JT stopped and pursed his lips. And then quickly, just once, he nodded. I sure would like to ask him why I got that nod. He knew I had gone to the police, and after I'd assured him everything would be all right, so why the nod? Was he glad I'd spoken up? Relieved? Had he been as tortured by this as me? The double doors at the side of the courtroom opened and closed once more, and a hush fell over the few of us who waited. "All rise," a court officer called out when the judge walked in. Now, in juvenile court, the judge is called a master. We stood, and a man waiting in front of us took off his baseball cap as Master Williams, in a black robe, whooshed out a little side door in at the front of the courtroom, papers tucked under her arm, and strode to the front. She took a couple steps up to a large chair behind a desk built into a tall wooden podium. Seeing Master Williams for the first time, I had the feeling she was a smart woman. I can't say why. With her short, wavy blonde hair tucked behind her ears and wire rimmed glasses, she reminded me of my fourth grade teacher. I don't think that's why I thought she was smart, but for some reason I had confidence in her right off. Both JT and Digger stood up and faced her as she spoke. "Jeremy Tyler, Michael Griswold," Master Williams addressed my friends in a clear, direct voice that was neither harsh nor sympathetic, but somewhere in between. "Do you understand that you are being charged with murder in the second degree, in that you did feloniously and with malice aforethought kill and murder Benjamin D'Angelo?" Murder. Man, it didn't matter how much my parents and Mr. Anderson had prepared me for this. I still couldn't believe they were being charged with murder. In my heart, I'd hoped for manslaughter, and hearing the word murder sent a frozen rod piercing right through the top of my head down to my toes. I kept watching, straining to see their faces, but I was shut out by their backs. Did they know that this was going to be the charge? Neither of them shook or broke down. Rigidly, they stood there, shocked, I suppose, probably hating me forever for what I'd done, maybe hating themselves too. "Do you understand you have a right to a lawyer?" Master Williams asked Digger. When Digger didn't reply, his father stood up behind him. Like Digger, he wore blue jeans and an untucked t shirt and didn't appear to have shaved or in any other way attempted to spruce up his appearance. "We can't afford no lawyer," he told Master Williams. "Well, if you cannot afford a lawyer, the court will provide one," Master Williams said. Mr. Griswold ran a hand over his bald head, but he didn't argue. Our attorney leaned over to whisper that the Griswolds would be assigned a public defender. The same procedure happened for JT, only his mother stood with him and told Master Williams that she would hire her own lawyer. "That's it then," Master Williams announced. "I'll see you both back here in 30 days for your adjudication." Both Dad and I turned to Mr. Anderson. "Well, that means their trial," he explained, except there won't be a jury in juvenile court. Remember, Master Williams will listen to everyone present their sides, and then she'll decide the sentence, their disposition. Adjudication, disposition, master. I guess the juvenile court didn't want kids feeling like they were real criminals with a trial and a sentencings by someone called a judge, even if what got them here in the first place was a criminal act. I didn't laugh, but I shook my head. If you were this deep into it, none of these labels made a lick of difference. We waited while JT and Digger and their families filed out of the courtroom. None of them looked back again. When the room was empty, we stood up and left. All right, guys, that is partway through the chapter. I think I'm going to stop there today and ask you a question about what you guys just heard. Please answer today's question as well as you can. Get all your other homework done, and we'll see what happens in the rest of this chapter as we finish chapter 25 later this week. Talk to you soon.